So the important thing to notice is that as the shoulder's moving, and I'll replay that, notice that it stays centered, regardless of where it is. Okay? So, basically what's happening is it's the shoulder and the ball is rolling and sliding at the same time. And for 99% of shoulder problems, that gets dysfunctional, meaning that's no longer occurring due to a lot of reasons: poor positioning, poor posture, tightness in some of the muscles. We'll get into some of that tonight. So you can see here on the top of the shoulder blade, as the shoulder is moving and the arm's raising up, we've got to clear this bump right here, which is called the accruing. It's on the shoulder right out here. It's the tip and the shelf of the shoulder blade itself. And in order for you not to jam your arm up into that, we need to have a certain amount of drop of that ball in the socket. And the job of the rotator cuff does that, okay? So this talks a little bit more about force couples in the joint and how the rotator cuff muscles basically create different pull on the upper arm, the humerus, keeping it compressed in the joint. So there's a joint capsule that goes around the joint, and one of the more common things that we see in people is that it gets tight in the back, okay? So coaches are always talking about internal rotation, right? Most people have pretty good ability to get to this position, but a lot of people lose this internal rotation, right? So that can be a problem with different movements that we do that require you to be able to, a high pull and a snatch, things like that. It's a pretty common dysfunction. We see decreased range of motion. Why does that happen? Well, a lot of it is due to just repetitive motion. Some of it's due to posture. We're not designed really to sit at a computer for 8-10 hours a day, so this forward posture really kind of breeds a lot of this stuff. So you've got different muscles pulling in different directions, right? The deltoid muscle primarily wants to pull upward, okay? So the rotator cuff, when it starts to get weak, doesn't work well. So now I've got this big rotator cuff deltoid that's a prime mover, and it's a strong muscle, and it's now going to be pulling up, and the rotator cuff's not countering that, so I can get this impingement where my shoulder gets jammed up, okay? That's actually aggravated when I have forward tilting of the shoulder, which is super common in most people, if not on both sides, at least on one side, okay? So we can look at some of the anatomy here and pull the visibody up so we could actually see it. Okay, so when we look in at the shoulder itself, you can see there's a lot going on here. This app, we've kind of taken a lot of things away so we can look into the joint. We can see the rotator cuff in the back here. Okay, this muscle here. You guys can't see it? Okay. Come in, if you guys can't see it, just come around the back. Basically, these muscles in the back of the shoulder tend to get really tight and glued down over time. So most everybody in here has used a lacrosse ball after a workout up into the back of the shoulder. This is what we're working on primarily.
That's the rotator cuff. Where's the scapularis? Where's the scapularis? That's the rotator cuff. That was kind of the scapularis, whatever. Where's the...
Are we talking muscle or...
Muscle.
Okay.
Where's the...
Subscap. The subscap, it's in the front. Okay, so let me show everybody what that looks like. When you look at the shoulder, you've got 4 rotator cuff muscles. Supraspinatus on top, infraspinatus, teres minor. So 2 in the back, 1 on top, and then 1 big rotator cuff muscle in the front. And that's called the subscapularis, and it sits directly on the front part of your shoulder blade, okay? Typically, it could, well, you could tear any one of the four. Most commonly, the tears occur right up in here. So across the top here, if we look down, you can actually see a better shot of it. So this muscle here, the supraspinatus, is probably the most commonly torn. It comes underneath and out through the shoulder, and it's right in here, right? Its attachment is probably about 1 inch wide, okay? Directly behind it is this muscle here, and you can see where they attach. We're talking an area about this wide, okay? Right in here. So you'll see that commonly people have pain up in that area. Degenerative tears, which is like a rope fraying, that's pretty common and it happens with quite a bit of frequency. So, you know, a lot of people have tears in their rotator cuff. It's not really a showstopper. They can conservatively treat that. You can have, they classify tears based on how severe they are. Full tears, tear right through completely, and then you have partial thickness tears, which they classify as less than 50% of the actual width of the tendon itself, right? So when we look at the attachment, I'll blow this up so everybody can see.